Passo la mano adesso a Barbara Lunghi, Head of Listing.
Well, I'd like to leave the floor to Barbara Lunghi, who is Head of Listing Sales, Italy Borsa Italiana, interviewed by Andrea Sasso, Chairman and CEO of Italian Design Brands, who will share her experience. Okay.
Bene, che bello rivederci qua.
Sì, bello.
Great, long time no see. It's so nice to see you again. Well, I'm always very, very emotional. I mean, that's a great feeling for me and all the people who are happy, businessmen and shareholders, etc. Yeah. So, good morning. Before talking about the stock exchange, I'd like to introduce Andrea Sasso. He's the chairman and the CEO Italian Design Brands. He started his career in Elman Insuling. He was CEO of Elica, and he was here so many times. Marazzi, Illuminazioni, well, the holding company of the family, and now he is part of Italian Design Brands. So, then you will also talk about this project, right? I will just say a couple of things. Italian Design Brands was born in 2015 to promote Italian district of design, furniture, furnishings with a very ambitious mission, representing Italian craftsmanship all over the world by creating a virtuous context for excellent companies. Each of them keeps its own identity in terms of creativity, distinctiveness, and the entrepreneurial spirit. How can you combine all that? How can you shape this group?
Noi oggi siamo partiti nel 2015 con la sola
We started in 2015. We had a turnover of 20 billion and 4 million EBITDA. In 2022, we are, 13 companies, 13 brands, 49 billion EBITDA and a lot of turnover. Well, out of 10 companies, at least 8 companies are managed by the entrepreneur. So we sell the majority. So it's not an entrepreneur. 8 of them still manage this company with the EBD support, and this is kind of a growth accelerator. And we have many different numbers and figures, and this was our last promise as management team, as shareholders as well, for our CEOs and entrepreneurs and businessmen. This was an important starting point, but also an endpoint for all of us, and this is also the reason why I joined the EBD group. Well, what is the role of the group? Well, we are focused on growth, and we have many businessmen, different generations. They have shorts, as I always say. And they are part of our sector. Well, I also worked in different sectors, so we need different skills. We have to understand also the product, the brands being a part of the group, and they have the first and last name of the entrepreneurs, and we help them in growth. Alessio was showing before that the reference market for the people invited by David today, well, a lot of different polls. We are talking about 45 billions, right? And this is the high hand, and this is also the core high hand of design. it accounts for 25% of the market. This is the only sector in which design is really made in Italy, much more than in other sectors, such as luxury cars. We have 25% in terms of share. But our company is fragmented also, and well, in general, we have hundreds of small companies, and they are not always able to address the challenges of the market. And we are kind of an accelerator in terms of growth. From 2015 to 2022, we had 40% of growth rate every year, 15% organic growth, and 20% in terms of mergers and acquisitions, more than double-digit growth. Double-digit growth compared to the last years. What is the profile of the companies you look for, and which are the companies that really fit in your case? Well, we choose companies that are well placed. Well, the businessman really feels like taking this kind of pathway, and there is kind of willingness for aggregation. Maybe there are heritage-related problems or other issues, or maybe you are looking for a more solid group in some cases. So they get in touch with new managers. When you can make a contribution to the growth of the company, like 20, 30 billions every year. So after being listed, we also accelerated our growth rate and the number of people who want to join our group. And after COVID, we had kind of digital acceleration, and this is something we can see on SMEs and other companies as well. So the end consumer has a lot of benefits, and we also have great management platforms. So we really focus on that. This is not part of the DNA of businessmen. Businessmen are always focused on the product and the brand, but not on communication or finance aspects or creation and setting up branches. In 3 years, we created 3 different branches. One of them is in London. This is one of our market of reference. We have architects and lighting designers we have been working with, and we try to set up all those big networks. And we recently opened a branch in New York. This is our first market after Italy. We do like 55% of our turnover there. And then we have a lot of freedom. We have fun as well. Yeah, you are having fun. Different brands and different stakeholders, a lot of complementarity as well. So I agree on what Alessio was saying, but also Walter. Synergies in the commercial sector are paramount. I mean, we have millions of different configurations. Our product managers have to use the configurator. In a design company, the configurator is much more important than in the car sector. I mean, you also have to have like digital skills, and we really sell custom-made products, and it's not like appliances, household appliances. It's something which is completely different. I mean, prices are much higher. You can also use and benefit from the high standards of the product for the end consumer. This is something we have seen in the last few years, last 2 years. Well, we are no longer drunk, as Davide was saying before, after COVID, and this is an advantage for all of us. We are getting back to normal in 2023, and we have kind of dichotomy between different trends, but anyway, we have a very, very fast growth. Yeah, so you identify yourself with the trends that were described, right? Yes, of course, with some nuances. The last years were easier than before. Yeah, great. So, on the 18th of May, this is a very important day because you became listed here, on the stock exchange, and you talked about also the role of private equity. You were supported by private equity stakeholders. So we got to know the investors and all the people that made it possible. So private equity partners, Fabio Sattin and Giovanni Campolo, Di Paolo Colonna, as well Giovanni Michele Gervasoni, who were kind of a connecting element in this kind of supply chain, and then also selected a group of investors. On the 18th of May, we'll start here on the stock exchange, new investors, domestic, international investors, and institutional investors, Tamburi Investment Partners within the holding company, and then, 293 billion euros capitalization, 70 billion the agreement and the investment of Tamburi within the holding. And now, something that rings a bell, so to say. Why can we say that this was in the pipeline, a stock exchange for Italian designs brands, and what was the role of stock exchange when it comes to supporting the company? This was one of our promises, actually. This was done by the management, but also by the investors at that time. So we wanted to make sure that the investors knew that we would land at the stock exchange, and this was kind of a promise. We wanted to keep these promises as well. I don't want to hide the fact that I joined this project in May 2020. Unfortunately, I had with a lot of listed companies over 20 years in different sectors, Star and all many other companies. And this is a starting point, not the point of arrival. And secondly, I have to say that listing a company is very important. You need more transparency. I have 20 years experience, not just the last month. What we were talking before, what we were talking about before. So there is a lot of attractiveness of talents. We want to attract them. We want to retain them. We want to grasp their attention. So small companies as well that are very present at the local level. And in this month, we had a lot of companies after we became listed, and they want to join our organization because listing yourself gives you a lot of visibility in terms of the pole of the district, the transparency, clear rules. Yes, of course, listing is a very important part of an advertising campaign, not just for our business, but also for our 13 brands that we manage. Evilux meetings, for example, with our investors, more than 300 meetings. So we started in October 2022. We became listed on the 18th of May. A lot of international investors, hedge fund investors. So you really have to deploy these skills, and you have to make the most of all these aggregation poles and districts, as we call them here on this stage. So they really have the opportunity to have three different choices. They can keep up the good work alone. We are no longer drunk once again, so we have a single-digit growth rate with more and more complicated challenges, or they aggregate themselves, or they decided to become listed here at the stock exchange. So they have three different choices. But all jokes aside, it is very important to aggregate yourself, since otherwise you can't address the complexity of the world. The 45 billions of potential sales in the high-end sector. We are all of us are startups, so we are talking about 266 millions. Well, we are 45 billion that we have to conquer, so we have a lot of opportunities. This is a breeding ground, and this is cross-cutting, for all the sectors. Yes, of course, last but not least, we have also in pipeline an increase in terms of primary capital. We had a book of 550 billions in a very difficult moment, actually. So 70 billion capital that is allocated to our investments in the companies that we already have, and for the organic development of our companies, but also for the recipe for success. So we can also carry out an acquisition that is a little bit kind of disruptive, but we always look for companies and businessmen that we can rely on. So trust is important, confidence is important. This is really paramount. In businessmen and entrepreneurs must favor deliver and boost this kind of synergy. Together with the area managers, we want to put our ideas together. I mean, we want to have a team that runs smoothly also from this point of view. And businessmen do not talk if they are in front of colleagues. They can't rely on. We still have 40 seconds. Time is running out, so sorry. Yes, I'm here on this side due to the mic, but you have a countdown. Right. Yeah, 40 seconds. Okay, great. So this was a great discussion. A lot of food for thought. So the primary market is a difficult one, a tough one. This is very demanding, but we have a lot of success stories, robust stories, so to say, where you can attract and retain investors that are really diversified, so you can make it. You are appreciated by the market. So, yeah, if you had to give a kind of a suggestion or a piece of advice, yeah, Tamburi was saying in an interview, who has excellent stories does not have to be scared. This is a very important element. We have always believed this. Well, listing is a crucial element for the growth of the company and the people that are part of the company. And if you do it like this, with such investors, with this relative majority, and well, with a very, very long-term vision, this is so important, in my opinion. So 15, 20 years in terms of time horizon. And yeah, when we say, okay, 5 years are very important, but let's bear in mind that we need a lot of time. We need a lot of time. 5 years are not enough. Well, we had private equity partners that spent 8 years with us. They are still our investors. And well, times are very, very long because you need to be forward-looking. And we are talking about excellent brands. This is an incredible heritage that we have as managers and also investors. We need also to stick to the design timeline. And this is not inferior to other sectors, of course. And I'm really passionate about this sector. So good luck. Thank you. Well done for whatever you have done. Thank you.